In a preemptive strike, Sony dropped a bombshell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
this, this
Right.
kind of this kind of came out of nowhere. So, anyways, folks, later today, Microsoft is having an Inside Xbox event where we expect they will announce a discless version of the Xbox. That happens, I think, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time, whatever time zone, 5 p.m. ET. That's all you need to know. But this morning, Sony did an exclusive interview with Wired where they talked about their next gen specs, and it's going to be an AMD Ryzen Zen 2 with 8 cores, 7 nanometers, GPUs based on Navi, some faster storage than what you can get in a PC, according to them. They want to say specifics, ray tracing, and 3D audio.
So, what is your? I wouldn't be surprised
Mm-hmm.
if the next gen Xbox had an AMD Ryzen blah blah blah. Now, do you know anything about that? What have you heard on that front?
So I got the hot takes from Microsoft this morning that they
Mhm.
are trying, or their goal. See, there's a lot of things. The specs are great, but we still don't know anything, right? Clock speed has a massive amount of play into this, right? It's
Oh yeah,
nice,
it's this that could change last minute just from the thermal dynamics of the box, and
right?
there's all kinds of things there.
Exactly. And so Microsoft's intent was to build a more powerful console than what Sony was making because they need that marketing push. They need every little advantage they can get.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
now
so
they know the bar.
yeah, so now Microsoft knows what Sony has. We will learn more at E3. I expect that we will learn the specs then.
Yeah.
I haven't fully heard if Microsoft is dancing in the limelight right now or if they are a little nervous.
Back
So
to the drawing board.
yeah.
I feel like I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just misremembering this, but I think in the Xbox One time frame, they had announced, that April or something, whatever the specs were, and Frodo did the introduction. Remember that, whatever that was, and then, I feel like at least one thing changed a little bit over time, and for the positive, and I
Yeah.
think it was because, maybe component prices had come down, or whatever it
Mhm.
was, but like these Sony, I guess my point is these Sony specs may not be the final specs, right? They could change
Right.
too. Because obviously whatever prototype boxes they're using now don't really represent the final hardware, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, and
So
drivers are going to change. There's a
yeah,
reason why they didn't say the actual performance figures. That usually they give like a T-flops performance, saying like we're going to have
yep,
10
yep.
T-flops, whatever it is. They didn't say any of that. So while the specs and information is great, it's also kind of useless. It's like it's
why,
8 cores. I mean, it's Zen 2,
yeah,
which
why
is
even come up? Well, it's without being a game developer of any kind, it seems to me that the best thing that could happen for developers would be if these things were functionally equivalent, right?
oh
If they
yeah,
were roughly the same horsepower, using, the same graphics engines and so forth, that would make life really easy on people, and it will never happen. But whatever.
I
So
think they're going to be
8K
close. I mean,
graphics.
we know AMD is making Microsoft's next gen CPU. They're also making
Yep.
the next gen GPU,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it would make
Yes.
sense that they're going to be very similar.
I mean, what
Yeah.
a problem this would be, though, if it like so it's a custom part, right? It's gonna be one of
Mhm.
those things. It's like the you remember the first Surface Book had some weird unnamed
Yep.
NVIDIA DGPU, and eventually over time people tested it and they said, well, it kind of falls into this
Yeah,
category.
it's exactly what it's going to be, I guess.
It's going to be like that. Yeah, we don't know, and I mean the people at Microsoft and Sony should have an idea,
Mhm.
And so, like you said, they're either dancing in the streets or they're cowering over the coffee or whatever, but. Interesting. Well, it's interesting that they would do
Yeah.
that today, of all days. Kind of random,
The
April
two things
16th.
that are worth pointing out is one, that it'll support ray tracing, which is not a
Mhm.
big surprise. That's kind of been a big thing on the PC
The big
side.
new thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the more important one is that it will support PS4 backwards compatibility. So that's going to help make that transition between the two consoles
Right.
very easy and also give Sony, honestly, kind of a leg up early on because they have that massive install base of
Well,
PS4s.
I mean, Xbox will do the same thing, right?
Yeah,
We know.
but there's more
Um,
PlayStations out there, though.
No, for sure. But the architecture of the PlayStation 4 is not AMD based, right? Isn't it some kind of weird
It might,
supercell AI processor?
well,
they
that
would
was
have
PS3, I believe.
Oh, maybe I'm misremembering. Okay.
There's a reason why they're not supporting backwards compatibility on that because that would be a nightmare.
Emulation. Yeah. Well, Microsoft does it. I mean, and they also kind of handle backward compatibility past one gen through their PS Now service, right? So they can
Mhm.
kind of virtualize that stuff. Okay. I mean, it looks like a supercomputer in a box, to quote Steve
Yep.
Jobs. It looks great. I expect Microsoft to respond accordingly. So
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like looking at this, there was nothing in there, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, it's
Yep.
all kind of what we expect. The only thing that I think Microsoft could do at this point is they can come out and say, hey, our next gen box is 12 cores or 10 cores or
Sure.
it's 8
Yeah,
cores.
but the only thing that really matters is, and seriously, this is literally the only thing that matters. These consoles have to deliver true 4K graphics at 60 frames a second. Period.
Yep.
That has to be the minimum. And ideally, what they would do is like a 144 hertz refresh. Kind of G-Sync style, whatever. But 4K, 60 frames. Across the board, like no drops. And if either one of them does that, and given the backward compatibility as well, I mean that's that upsell. That's where you're going to get existing people to upgrade their machines. It's perfect. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're in one of those awkward spots too, where it's late in the development of these consoles, but it's also early, right? Because these things aren't going to come out for another 14-ish months.
Yeah, so that was the other thing, though, right? So they said literally it was not coming out this holiday season. Yeah. Now they don't want to wait till next holiday season, I assume. That's like 2 years.
They could, but that's.
So has an Xbox ever? No, they always launch at the last part of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will. We'll see what Microsoft has up their sleeve later today and at E3, but Sony has fired the first shot across the... Well, I don't even know if that's true. Who knows? But that's what it is.
I think they have. I mean, like I said, today was kind of an arbitrary day.
Was it, though?
That's my point. Not that, Microsoft announcing yet another version of the Xbox One S, which is a console that dates back to, 2016 or something, and whatever, is necessarily huge news, or impactful on the future of the platform, whatever. It's not a 4K gaming box, so whatever. I mean, it's interesting. I will say next gen console more interesting than last gen console. I mean, so they suck for that, but good to them.
Yeah.
Good for them. I mean, that's smart marketing, I think.
Yeah, it'll be. We will wait and see.
Yeah.
Wait and see.
Yep.
And then what is this? I just looking at headlines actually right now. What is the Amazon Music thing that they're working on?
Oh, jeez, this is such a cluster. So Amazon used to have one of the best music services. You could upload, if you were a Prime user especially, you could upload all your music. You got access to the library. It was really nice. They don't have that anymore. So what they have today is something called Amazon Music. I believe it's some piddly amount, like 3 million songs, as opposed to 50 plus in the normal services. You get it for free with Prime. It's ad-free. Obviously, you have to pay for Prime. It's just like a perk. And, if you have an Echo or whatever, you can play through that. And it's widely acknowledged now to be the third most popular streaming music service after Spotify and Apple Music. They also have something called Amazon Music Unlimited, which is $9.99 a month, just like Spotify, just like Apple Music, for an individual who doesn't have Prime. It's the full meal deal, 50 million songs, whatever. No ads, obviously. If you have Prime, it's only $7.99 a month, and so that's nice. You save a couple bucks there, I guess. And if you're only going to play it through an Echo speaker, which, frankly, given that user base, you're going to see a ton of those people. It's only $4 a month, and so that's for a full meal deal kind of music streaming service. That's actually pretty good. Now they're going to come up with another one, and so I guess the way to think of this is, it's the ad-supported version of the low-end Amazon Music subscription. So it's going to be a limited selection of songs. Probably the same exact selection or roughly equivalent to the freebie you get with Prime. It's for people who don't have Prime. And so it's going to be ad supported like the base level of Spotify. I guess there's a lot of licensing that goes into this because when you move from paid something to unpaid something with ads, the licensing is different. That might impact the songs in the collection. I'm not really sure, but this is based on a report from Billboard. It could be announced any minute now. Today, it could be announced in the next week or two. It could be announced 3 months from now. We're not really sure. Because we need more. We need more of those. More music services. It's good.
I was trying to figure out how I'm going to save money with that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I mean, no. I don't know if you're married to Spotify, and a lot of people seem to be. It's like this stuff doesn't. None of it kind of matters. you're in the Apple ecosystem. I mean, honestly, you could make a great case for using Apple Music, I think. But I don't know that you would save money, right? So what would be the point of that?
Right.
I guess if you wanted the same type of thing, you wanted to save a couple of bucks, you do have Prime, I believe, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you could go to Amazon Music Unlimited, I guess, and save $2 a month, but do you,
Not gonna
well,
happen.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But do you do like a family thing at Spotify or just an
No,
individual
it's just
account?
my wife and I. We just share an account, and it really
Oh,
only
you share the account, yeah. So
Yeah.
you're paying $10 a month, yeah. Yeah.
and it only impacts us when she's running, and then
Mm-hmm.
I usually just go with radio or something.
I see. Yep. Okay.
So the other interesting thing that happened sort of this week or yesterday is that AT&T sold off its stake in Hulu, and now Disney owns it's like 60 something percent of Hulu.
Wait. Oh, AT&T, right. I thought you
Yeah.
said ABC. I was like, wait a minute. ABC is owned by Disney. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So
Yeah.
now it's
I saw that
basically-
story. I didn't write it up.
It's
but
Hulu and
this basically
Comcast
means-
basically own it now.
Right. Right. So, and Hulu, yes, Hulu is partially owned by Disney and Comcast.
Mhm.
And it was AT&T before, but now it's just two. Okay.
So
Yep.
the current thought is that potentially what might happen is that Disney Plus becomes like their kind of kid-friendly, all that stuff there. Then the adult version, which is what you might find on ABC and all that stuff, ends up just on Hulu.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean,
Mhm.
I my expectation is that, or it was that you would see like Marvel, Star Wars, whatever on the Disney Plus service.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know there's like one or maybe even more than one Star Wars series coming to TV, which is kind of interesting to
Mhm.
me. And I wonder if that would be like an ABC thing.
Yeah,
If it would
it's going
be
to get messy
specific to the
because
service.
that's a
Yeah.
perfect example. Like if they do just TV shows on Hulu, then what happens to their Star Wars stuff, which is also on Disney
Well, they
Plus?
could do the Star Trek thing, right? Isn't that only on the CBS service? Like you literally have to buy that service to see the show or something like.
Yep.
Which might
suspect-
explain why I've never seen it.
Suspect we'll see some bundling or something.
Yeah.
So interesting times ahead. You got anything else for today, Mr. Bell?
No, I wrote up a thing on cord cutting that people might want to take a quick look at. Just because I've seen a lot of complaining about all the price hikes. I mean, I think in the last year alone, like YouTube TV is maybe one of the more popular options, has gone from, I think it started at $35 a month, went to 40, went to 45, now it's at 50, and people are like, what's
Mhm.
going on? I'm not saving any money anymore based on cable. I actually don't think that's true, by the way, for most people. I think that some combination of a YouTube TV type cord cutting service plus whatever Netflix / Hulu / Amazon Prime / HBO Go, whatever it is you want, when you add that stuff up, it's still less expensive than a cable package is. But regardless of that, I just wanted to remind people, the real advantage of this thing is the freedom, right? So
Right.
if you've ever tried to switch cable TV carriers, like cable TV providers, it is a freaking nightmare. And one of the things I noticed with Fios, which is technically not cable, but let's call it cable, is that price went up and up and up over time, just like we're seeing today.
Mhm.
And the problem then, though, is what we were bundling in there was like two supposed landlines, which were actually VoIP over time. We didn't even know that. Our cellular phones, because they're through Verizon, you can do it on the same bill, save a little bit of money, TV and internet. And it's like our costs went up like over $100 per
Yeah.
month over time. Like it was crazy. So we had to actually switch providers to Comcast in our case for 1 year to get a lower price, a crappier service for sure. But then we could go back to Fios at the end of that and get the new customer deal, which again saved us some more money. And, you play that kind of a game. But the nice thing about these cord cutting services, and I think this is the key, is you can just pop in and out. So for example, my wife and I subscribed recently to HBO Now. We're watching it all the time. We've been watching Veep and Barry, and Game of Thrones is back on now. We might go back and like binge watch The Sopranos, which we haven't seen in 15 years or whatever. And when this is all done, we'll get rid of it, right? So it's like $15 a month, but it's like a little three month thing maybe. YouTube TV, we're actually not paying for that now because we don't really watch TV. When the fall comes and football comes back on, we might get that or something else, to cover that. But that's the beauty of it. We don't have to worry about that now. There might be cheaper options for that kind of thing. Maybe we go with an NFL service. So I think I looked into that in the past. It was stupid expensive, but the ability to go in and out every month and take advantage of free deals too, because all these things have like a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is of free viewing. Like the Showtime thing I was talking about. We watched the latest season of Homeland for free because we binge watched it in the 1 week time frame or whatever it was we had. Anyway, I just wanted to, just kind of throw that out there because I know people are freaking out at the price hikes.
Yep. All I will say is that if you have cable and you're trying to replicate it with bundled services because you watch a lot of TV, you might want to just stick with cable. I mean, it's
yeah. But to that, you're right because you can't actually duplicate it exactly. That said, the two things that are kind of interesting when you do try to do that is I think a lot of people are already paying for some of these services anyway. Yep. So if you have cable TV, you're probably already paying for Netflix too. You probably have Amazon Prime. You're kind of halfway there. But the other thing is we specifically had these shows we kind of had to watch at the time. I always use House Hunters as the example. And YouTube TV did not have HDTV at the time. They just got it recently. That was the reason for the price hike. Not having access to that on a normal daily basis or whatever caused us to kind of change our TV viewing habits in a way that I will describe as a positive. And so not being beholden to this weird old-fashioned schedule. I mean, honestly, it's triggered us watching only high-quality shows for the most part because now we have this choice. We don't have to just watch whatever's on. We very specifically will binge watch really good shows on Netflix or HBO Now or whatever, or Hulu has these things too. I mean, I think getting rid of cable TV ultimately is the smartest thing anyone can do. With regards to
it was for us. We were very happy. I mean, we don't miss it in the slightest, and we only pay for Netflix and not even Hulu anymore. Yeah. So
you can go back, and I wrote about this because we kind of dropped it and then went back, and then finally we're screw this. And now it's I will never subscribe to cable TV. Never. Never, never, never. It's done. And I couldn't be happier about that. It's good.
Stay tuned next week for when Paul goes crawling back to cable companies.
Yes, exactly. I was just thinking as I said that, you could imagine some future where you kind of have to get cable TV to get some price on the cable internet, which is what you really want. And I suppose in that case, I would have it. But I got to be honest, I don't think I would watch it. Well, maybe I would. Maybe football or something.
The only way I would ever go back is if they had an app for Apple TV because that's...
Well, right. So that's the other thing, by the way. So that's kind of a side issue, but YouTube TV, if I remember the terms correctly, for that $50 a month now, which is granted $15 more than it started at, 6 screens simultaneously, right? So, I'm sorry, 6 accounts. So you have 6 different people who have all their own shows, all this stuff they're recording. It's completely separate. Unlimited cloud-based DVR. I believe it's 3 screens simultaneously streaming, right? I mean, and it's portable, right? It works on your phone, it works on your tablet, it works on your computer. We could be on a business trip to New York, we could be on a business trip to California, and we could still watch a recorded DVR show, a live TV show, whatever it is. I'm not saying that some of these features are not available sometimes on some cable things, but all of those features together at once are not available anywhere on cable, I don't believe. And even if they are, you're not using that crappy Motorola set-top box that went to the moon on that NASA thing in the 70s and is literally that old, but you're using modern devices, with nice interfaces and everything. It is night and day.
Speaking of night and day, that wraps it up for today, folks. I hope you had a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll be back tomorrow with a lot more goodness, hopefully, maybe. No promises.